Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulihi. Amma ba'du. I greet our listening audience. Assalamu alaikum wa Ramadan Mubarak. Welcome to our Mali Ramadan sessions this morning. Ramadan sessions for the students. And we host it, have it every morning at 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're live on Facebook and on the webinar. For those of you who would like to join us from Facebook on the webinar on Sunday for questions and discussions on what we have presented during the week, you can call in to this dial-in number and access code. And on your phone, and you can also, on your computer or phone or tablet, what have you, you can join us on the webinar at MuslimAmericanLogic.ning.com. If you go to this site, go down to class information. Under that, you will see my name and click on the highlight. Follow the prompts, and that will get you into the session. You can see on the screen, as well as ask questions and become part of the discussion. Today, we're going to be looking at the source Al-Bahru Muhit. This is one of the tafsir sources, and you can find it among the site that have the tafsirs on it. Al-Bahru Muhit, and it's by Hayyan. This source, he deals with commentary, and he gets into the language. He shows a lot of the language. And in some of his comments, he I may not show it this month, but he shows, you'll see nomenclature from the Balagha studies that we have had. So this is new to the students. Perhaps we'll be using it in the class. Also, I'll use it at times for the class. So we're going to look at some ideas of inspiration, being upright. Inspiration and being upright, standing upright. Seeking forgiveness, which is the crux of religion. For man to evolve from all fours and stand upright in achieving excellency. These are the ideas that we hope to get from our presentation. So let us start. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Qul innama ana basharun mithlukum yuha ilayya annama ilahukum ilahun wahidun fastaqimu ilayhi wastaghfiruhu wa waylun lil mushrikin. So in the Al-Bahru Muhit, it's known by the name Al-Bahru Muhit. Sometimes the authors become more famous than the title of the book. Sometimes the title of the book becomes more famous or well known than the author. But this one I hear all the time from the people that study tafsir. They would say Al-Bahru Muhit. Qul innama, he's going to, here he doesn't comment on. He gives us the first part. Qul innama, say. He's going to comment on it. Say, Innama. Innama, we said, is a particle of restriction, meaning only. Yuha ilayya. Yuha ilayya. So we say it has been inspired to me. I have been inspired by it. What Qara'a, he's going to comment. He's going to comment, and I'll refer back to it because this is new to you. He's commenting on what's in the parentheses. So when he's commenting, go back to the parentheses and look at the parentheses to understand what he's commenting on. This is what we've mentioned before. When you're reading any language, have an idea what the book, the person is talking about, especially when you're reading a foreign language. Have an idea of what they're talking about. And this gives you the idea of what he's going to be talking about as to what's in the parentheses. So he says, وَقَرَأَ الْجُمْهُورُ, meaning the majority read it. This is how the majority read it. They read kul al-amri. That this kul he's talking about the kul here. That the kul is read with upon the command, kul, command, kul. Now, something we're going to learn in reading tafsir now, there could be other ways in which the Quran is read. It may not be just one way it was read or is read, and they will discuss the different ways that some of the people read it. I know we feel that it's revealed the way it is, it's like that, and nothing else, but there are these discussions. So most of Jumhuru means most of the public. The majority public reads this as command, kul, kul. But others say that it's a fi'lun madian, that is past tense. That instead of saying say, they're saying it would read in the past tense, qala, he said. He said, innama. Now let's go back to the verse to get a good understanding of it. You're not going to lose anything of the picture. He said, I am only a basharun, like you. He said, I am only a basharun, like you. They may give that idea of it being in the past tense. But the majority, and the way we have it in the Qur'ans that we have, it say, I am a man like you. Cool. Instead of call that, cool. وهذا صادق بالتوحيد والرسالة. And this is divided, you could say, divided between Tawheed and the message, the concept of oneness and the message, the Risala. The Tawheed, this concept of Tawheed, is we think of it many times as the oneness of Allah, and that's how it is expressed. And many will refer to it as Allah. The Tawheed is Allah. And yes, I'm not different with that. However, the Tawheed, he's been inspired. It has been inspired to me. Now remember inspire. We dealt with the meaning of inspire yesterday. It comes quick, the signs. Quick signs, we could say. So it comes to him, it comes to Muhammad the Prophet quick. He's inspired by it. This Tawheed is really the oneness in creation that he sees. That he's inspired by it. It's the oneness in creation that will lead to the idea that Allah is one. But this does not come to him through experimentation and observation. This comes to him by inspiration. But it has come to the scientists through verification after inspiration. That the scientists, we mentioned, if you don't have this concept of Tawheed, you will fail in science. So the scientist is the scientist who looks at creation through experimentation, through observation, over and over, that reached the conclusion that everything exists, scientifically speaking, has a common origin. Yes. And everything exists has a common relationship with everything else that exists. Nothing exists alone in its design, in its makeup, in its created form, without having a relationship with something else, with everything else that exists. In the material world, we call it matter, M-A-T-T-E-R. It's a scientific term, matter. Over time, does the scientist conclude that everything that we see is made up, is a form of matter? Saying what? Saying that everything has a common origin. Therefore, we have to conclude that the creator of everything in its diversity can only be one. If there's more than one creator, then each one can claim his own creation. Each one can claim his own creation, and in that creation, it does not have a common origin with other things in creation. But we have not found that in science. Because of that, we believe that those things that's created way outside of our galaxy has a common origin to the creation that we observe right here on the earth. Everything is related. Everything has a common origin. Why? Because of the concept of Tawheed. If there's life, if we could find life existing anywhere else in the universe, we feel we can have a way of communicating with that life. Why? Because all we have to do is find the common origin that we have with that thing, and therefore we can communicate with that thing. Yes. Why? Because of the concept of Tawheed, scientifically speaking. You see how we need to teach the Quran as a science? Not just a ritual holy book. So the Tawheed, see, remember I mentioned Tawheed is not mentioned in the Quran. Why it is mentioned? But we're talking about Tawheed now. Yes. And we're saying that Tawheed is the crux of the religion. The main part we're going to see. This is Tawheed. So he was inspired it was inspired to him. This idea of Tawheed. But it took time and time for man to be inspired by it or to verify it. Yes. So, if you don't have this idea in science, you could hurt yourself because you have to know the relationship between the different forms of matter. Because once you start mixing matter, you could hurt yourself. You could fail. And Risala. This is one part. This is one part, is Tawheed. Yes. When we're talking about inspiration. Tawheed came as inspiration. Then we have Risala. Well, Risala, this word Risala, is the same word we have for a letter. Someone writes you a letter, Letter. This is the letter that was sent. Yes. Allah wrote a letter to his servants. And many of us refuse to read the letter. But it was inspired to him. The letter was inspired to Muhammad the Prophet. It's the message. The Quran. The Quran is referred to as a letter. So these are two things, the Tawheed and the letter. Yes. You love someone so much, you're in love, and they write you a letter, and you do not read the letter. You want to know, what are they saying? So one person, he takes the letter to a man, and the man says, he said, will you read it for me? I have this letter. I can't read. Can you read it for me? And the man says, I cannot read it. I'm not a man of letters. Letters like wow, cough, ra. I can't read the letters. I can't read letters. Therefore, I can't read the book. I'm not a man of letters. So he goes on to the next man. He says, I have this book. Here, this letter, this Risala has been sent to me. Can you read it for me? Tell me what it says. It's from my loved one, the one who loves me dearly. Can you help me? Tell me what is it saying. He says, I can read it. I can read Qara'a al-Jumhuru. I can read Kul Innama Ana Basharun with the most beautiful voice. However, I cannot comprehend what it's saying. Therefore, I can't read you the book and tell you what it's saying. I'm sure you get the message. What Qara'a and others, scholars have said, they've said that Yuhi, this idea of Yuha, here we're talking about Yuha now. We're talking about this right here, Yuha. Bikasri ha. I put it here so you will see it. Yuhi. I wrote it Yuhi so you will see it. Bikasri ha. Meaning that they read it with the kasra on the ha instead of the fatah. So what happens? When you read it that way, it will read, He inspired me. When we read Yuhi Ilayya, you say, He inspired me. Mean Allah inspired me. He inspired me. And that would be in the active form of form 4, active. If you say yuha, yuha is in the passive. When you put the dhamma on the first letter in the present tense and a fatha on the middle letter, it becomes passive. It was inspired to me. But if you put the kasra on it, it's form 4 active. He inspired to me. He caused it to be inspired to me. He caused it. But you would read it, he inspired, by causation. Yes. So, we'll say a tanzil comes down. It comes down. Like the rain comes down and mix in the earth. Like the Quran comes down onto his heart. Yes. And then the inspiration comes. Inspiration comes from it. So the inspiration, we could say, is through causation. Yes, Allah caused it, but it's not directly. He's the primary doer of the act, but it's not direct. This is the idea of form 4. Here it's in the passive, having a similar sense, that it was inspired, and we know the inspiration comes from Allah originally. He's the primary source of inspiration, but it was done through the means of causation, in the sense that through the mixing of the pure heart, so forth and so on, and then the inspiration comes. Trying to give you an idea between tanzil and wahy. In the passive, we could say directly, we don't know who inspired him. He was inspired. He's saying it was inspired to me. But this is the prophet speaking and saying it was inspired to me. Yes. Some of the other tafsirs, they get into the details of what I'm saying. If you have questions, we're going to discuss it on Sunday. So this is how he's getting into the language. So some will say he inspired, right, by saying yuhi instead of yuha. But the majority of them, the majority is in the public, you would say, the masses, they read it with the fatah, not with the kasra. Now, the understanding, it could be written kul, it could be written yuha, but they will understand it yuhi, because they're saying that he inspired me. And they say, if it says kul, then you may understand Paul that he said. Kul say, so he said it. Kul say, so he said. He was inspired, but he inspired him. So you don't lose the idea, you don't lose anything with it. It's very detailed in the discussion of language. So I want to introduce this to the students so you can see this. That's why I'm introducing you to Al-Bahrul Muhit. There are different types of tafsir. On those, everybody's tafsir is not written addressing the same thing. So there are different tafsirs. So you have to, when you look at them, they're different. How they're written and what they're written about, what they are addressing. I like to quote, I hear from him a lot, the young Imam Jihad Safir. It's an ocean. Knowledge of Quran is an ocean, a big ocean. Everyone find the place of your drink. Well, akhbara, so you'll see a lot in these tafsirs. You can't read it all, so find your interest. That's your place of drink. وأخبر أنه بشر مثلكم لا ملك. So he informs. He informs. This is talking about Muhammad the Prophet, the prayers and peace be upon him, that he is a Basharun. We had Basharun. We know what Basharun is now. The flesh and blood man. Skin on skin. Outer skin, inner skin. Yes, the flesh man. Just like you. And that's how the people saw him. Well, you're a man just like me. You eat, I eat. You go to the market, I go to the market. You have a wife, I have a wife. You have children, I have children. You're a man just like me. So he's saying that. He's agreeing with them. Yes, I'm a man just like you. La malakun means what? I'm not an angel. I'm not something of a different creation than what you are made up of. I'm made up of the same Salsalin. Keep the connection. Basharun Salsalin. That's where we start with Salsalin. I'm made up of the same mud and formed and shaped by the same mud you formed and shaped by. See, we want to try to have this idea. I'm going to talk a little today. We're going to try to have this. We want to have this idea that if your skin is black and my skin is white, you're of a different creation than I am. We don't see the Tawheed. We want to think because of that we're of a different creation than each other. And therefore, I have something you don't have. He's not saying that. And he's not even saying I'm of a different creation. I'm not an angel. I'm not half man and half God. I'm a man, flesh and blood man, just like you. I have the same basharun, the same skin, the same sensitivities that you have. Yes. You think because I am Imam, you have the right to insult me, and I suppose my skin is supposed to be so thick and hard like a callus. You know how a callus can grow on your hand? You get a callus, if you touch it, there's no feeling. It's hard, no feelings. We think the Imam is a person that's supposed to have no feelings. He's not even supposed to have the feelings that other men have. So look, it's coming to my mind, so it's Ramadan. It's Ramadan. So we come into the masjid. I know you're not going to like it, but it came to my mind. I'm not going to hold it back. Basharun. We're talking about Basharun. You come into the masjid, and we make a big fuss that the women should sit behind the men. And the men should not sit with the women due to moral concerns. It has nothing to do with classification. It has nothing to do with I'm better than you. It has to do with moral concerns. You understand what I'm saying. However, and the men and everyone is facing the front, the Imam that's speaking. However, the Imam is facing the people, even the women. But he's supposed to be made of a callous structure, has no feelings. So when the women are sitting, he's looking at the women, he's facing the women, and they're sitting on the floor, and they're moving around, they're changing the way they sit, they're wearing dresses, their dress may come up. They may be uncomfortable because the man is looking at them. But he's not supposed to be like no other man. We get that from another religion. He's not supposed to like women. He's not supposed to have feeling for women. He's not supposed to be attracted to women. He's supposed to be above that. So someone say, hey, put a partition up a little bit. Just put a partition halfway up so you won't be exposed to the imam. Oh, you put me in another class now. I know what you're going to say. Why don't he lower his gaze? Yes, he should lower his gaze. He should look at the people on the front row when he's talking and quit looking back at the women. Why? Because he's a bashadun like the men sitting there he's talking to. He's no stronger than the men he's talking to. If they have weaknesses, then he has weaknesses too. They're sensitive, he's sensitive too. So don't treat him like a callous, like he has no feeling. You bring him problems, and he's supposed to be above the feelings, the emotions. You come emotionally with your emotional problems that you should be taking to your family members who understand. But he's supposed to be above all these feelings, these sensitivities. No. He's saying, no, I'm a man like you. Yes. In our society, we have a habit of insulting our leaders, but they're supposed to be able to take it. But if he insults you back, you can't handle it. So remember that. Ana basharun mithlukum. It says a lot. So he said, I'm not an angel. No, I get married. I like women that get married and have children just like you do. I see a beautiful sister like you see one. So I have to keep the same standards of morality that you keep. It's for all of us, and vice versa. The same for the women. You can't put you can't vote. We vote. We don't even qualify them. We just vote for them. And now they're the imam. Now they're above the moral discipline that everyone else has the moral standards that everyone else has to adhere to. He's above those moral standards. No. If a woman comes into your office by herself, you should send her out if she's not your wife or daughter or relative. You're not to be in the same place together and close the door and have meetings. You're not above that because you're the imam. Yes. I'm talking the crux of the religion. So he's telling me, I'm not an angel. I'm not created of something else that's not common to your creation. لَكِنَّهُ أُوحَى إِلَيْهِ دُونَهُمْ. However, but it was inspired to him that was not inspired to them. It came through inspiration to him. And this is the problem. You didn't get the inspiration. I got the inspiration. But why wasn't it inspired to a black man? I'm not going to accept it unless you can prove to me with scientific historical data that Muhammad the Prophet is a black man. He's an African. Then perhaps I will accept Islam. And tell me that this language is Afro-Arabic language, not just Arabic. Perhaps then I will try to read it. Why wasn't it given to me? And the only way I can make myself feel good is to attach myself to the Godhead above all other men. Created. My color has to be superior to all other colors before I can accept it. I've been beaten down so bad I have to be told something like that in order for me to just get up off all my fours and stand up straight to face the one who created me. Yes, we all believe in Allah. The Muslims say it's Allah. The Christians say Allah. The Jews say Allah. If you speak in Arabic, they'll say Allah. Who is God? They'll say Allah. We don't have a problem with that. We don't have a problem with saying Allah is one. We don't have a problem saying God is one. Why? We don't have a problem with Tawheed. The scientists would say Tawheed. Yes, we agree on Tawheed. We agree that God is one. But however, here's the problem. You are saying, let me get this straight, what you are saying now, that you're a man just like me with the same sensitivities that I have, same skin, and it was inspired to you and not me. That's where we have a problem. Yes. All my family, come together. My family, my friends, all of you that know me. This is Muhammad the Prophet saying. All of you, you know me. I grew up with you. I've lived amongst you for 40 years. We hung out together. You know me. You gave me the nickname Elamine, the trustworthy. If I say to you, there's an army gathering on the other side of the hill, would you believe me? And they say, yes, you're Elamine. Why not? He says, well, I'm the messenger of Allah, and he have inspired to me. And they would say, no way. Why did he tell us? It wasn't the first time. Moses, he took his best with him, the best. His leaders, the best. He took them with him. He goes and he tells them, wait here. I see a fire. Perhaps I can come back with information. I'm not giving it literally. I don't have to because you read the Quran. So he goes away from them and they can't see him, but they hear him talking. He comes back and they say, who are you talking to? He says, Allah. They say, oh no, we're not going to believe you, Moses, until we see Allah in the public. We're not going to believe you. That's the problem. And that's the problem through our religion. We cannot believe that Allah, the unseen God, that has no partners, that does not share in a Godhead with anyone that we cannot see publicly, inspired, sent you the letter and not me. And you're to represent all of humanity? That's the problem. And it's still the problem. Yes. I'm not going to learn to read this language until you prove to me that it's the language of the black man. And there's nothing in it. I don't believe that there's anything in it that would benefit me more than I've already been benefited. And I stand before you as an imam in this religion, call myself teaching this religion, and cannot and refuse to read the letter. Speaking English, reading English translations, but have an excuse of this not being a black language as to why I won't learn. And Allah says, I've made it easy for you. Yes. Well, this is the month of Ramadan, the month of the Quran, right? Yes. So Hassan said that Allamahu ta'ala at-tawadu'a. He says that he taught him, the Most High taught him humility. He taught him humility. That the prophet is not being big-headed about it. He's being humble about it. That it was revealed to me. I didn't go out and discover this. I didn't do this on my own. I didn't do the research and all to come to this conclusion that I have something that you don't have. I'm a man just like you, but it was inspired to me. It's in the passive. He's being passive about it. He's not saying Allah said it. Look at the language. It was inspired to me. He's being humble about it. That what was inspired to him is the Tawheed of Allah in creation and the rejection of your God, this idea of many gods. I'm not just trying to form a gang membership. This was inspired to me. Yes, I'm a man like you. So I'm not saying it's the gang members. I'm letting you know it was inspired to me. And look how long it took. How long did it take for humanity to see it and accept it? Yes. So, fact. So, istakimu ilayhi. So, straighten up. That's our colloquial language. So, straighten up. Straighten yourself up. Yes. You see how our language, we find our home language. I don't know the word for it, but the sociologists, the language of the people, their natural language in the home. We speak in the home. A certain language we speak in the home. Then we go out in the public, we speak a certain language. But in the home, we say, straighten up, boy. Yes. So straighten up. Ilahi, towards him. Him who? Which him are we talking about now? Come back Sunday and let me know. Which him? Is this him? Straighten up to him the prophet? Or straighten up to him Allah? Which one are we talking about? That is to say, lahu bitawhidi alladhi huwa ra'suddin wal amal. So he's saying here, that's to say that this tawheed, this idea of tawheed, is the head, the crux. That's the word I'm saying for crux. Not literal. Of the religion and your works, your scientific investigation. It's the foundation of it. It's the head of it. It's the crux of it, of both. And they have to both be reconciled, as we were saying yesterday. Your religion has to be reconciled with your works. Yes. وَاسْتَكْفِرُوهُ وَاسْأَلُوهُ, then ask him. وَاسْأَلُوهُ, then you, masculine plural, all of you of humanity, and ask him for forgiveness. Ask Allah for forgiveness. That's why this who would go to Allah. Ask him, ask Allah for forgiveness. Yes. Says a little more. Another note. I'm giving the students places to write notes. Then come back and ask the question about Macfreda. I'm saying write a note. Say yes, you was going to mention about Macfreda. And then ask me about more to explain about Al Macfreda and how it's formed. The word is formed. So ask him for forgiveness, since it is the crux of your actions, which by doing such, in achieving forgiveness, achieving it, it will eliminate, or we could say it will erase or remove tuzawilu, the consequences of your actions. This is istakfir. He's commenting on istakfir. Now, wasa'alu, he's saying here, looking at the language now, is to seek or ask. Sa'alu, to seek or ask. So he's addressing Form 10. He's showing you Form 10, to seek. So to seek or ask him for forgiveness. When you say istakfiruhu, meaning to seek or ask. So he's showing you the meaning of Form 10 here when he's explaining here in the tafsir. وَدِمْنَا استقيموا معنى التوجه. So the within dimna, and within dimna, and within istaqimu. Now we're saying istaqimu. So we're going back up to, got to find the parentheses to know what we're talking about. Look in the parentheses to see what is he talking about. He's saying istaqimu has the meaning of tawajjuh in it, included in it, within the meaning, within the word istaqimu is the meaning of tawajjuh. Tawajjuh means to face something, to be focused. Like we have akim wajhaka lid-dini, means wajhakim to stand and face something, or to stand and focus on something. For akim is from the same word istaqimu. Akim, so you're seeking to stand. Akim is stand, and istaqim is seek to stand. And have wajhaka, your face, tawajjuh, meaning your attention. Establish your attention. There's a book the Imam wrote years ago. The title was Focus on Religion. He's translating that verse. For akam wajhaka lidin, focus on religion. So this is the word for focus. It has the idea of focus. وَلِذَلِكَ تَعَدَّى بِإِلَى. So to that, the objective, to make it transitive, ta'adda, to convey or make it transitive, is with the ila. See the ila here. Now, he's talking about language. Let me explain. You see why this is for the students. because the students can follow me in the Arabic, but they're learning from the explanations. Now, if some can't follow in the Arabic, it'll be difficult for them, of course. But you can still learn from things I'm saying in the presentation. So if you recall now, we use the dictionary, hands word. And I'm saying a lot some mornings because these recordings are going to be used as part of the Mali system. You'll see the Mali system. So I'm saying a lot because I'm showing you the Mali system. I'm not just talking to be talking for accolades. I'm really putting the system, I'm recording the whole system during this month. From the beginners to the advanced. The whole system is being recorded. So now, if you recall, we start out using the Hand's Word Dictionary. And in the Hand's Word Dictionary, we have the verbs, we have a verb, and then we have a preposition that's used with the verb. Those of you that know, if you're in a class you don't know what I'm talking about, ask me on Sunday. A lot of the beginners. It's used with the preposition. And some you'll see the verb, and then in parentheses it'll have a have. Where it has the have means it takes a direct object, like here. When he says istakfiruhu, it takes a direct object. Who? Who is the object of the verb? It's the object of the verb. But here, the who, the pronoun, is not a direct object. Ila is used with the verb istakimu. Ila is used with it. So ilahi would be the object. This prepositional phrase is the object. It's in the place of the object of the verb. It's in the place of the direct object, if I can say it that way. Ilahi is a phrase that's in the place of the object of the verb. It serves as the object, but it's a prepositional phrase. Here we call it a direct object. It's not a phrase. It's a direct object. This is what he's explaining here. So because tawajjuh is within the meaning of istaqimu, then that's why it's taken the preposition as used as used as part of the direct object. So towards him, face towards him. So not only are you to stand, but when you stand facing towards him. So we have this picture that we're given in the salat as a symbol in the ritual. That when we stand, we say iqama to salat, right? We call it the qiyam, standing. But when we stand, we don't stand facing anywhere. We don't stand facing each other. We don't stand in a circle. We all stand facing the Qibla, which is the Kaaba. And we're standing, we're talking about the crux now. We're standing facing the Kaaba, yet it's not the Kaaba that we worship. But we're all standing in a direction that we all have originated from, that gives us our commonality. In standing towards him. But Allah is not in the Kaaba. Allah is not the Kaaba, and we don't worship the Kaaba. But this is in the ritual of our common origin that's established by Allah. That's why, and we know we all come out from that. Now we talked about this with the moon sighting. The Qibla. It's where the light started. Started at that spot. and it unfolds, the unfolding. So is the unfolding of humanity. It starts there. So that's why they say Adam. Many would say it was Adam who built the foundation of the Kaaba. Yes. That's why we study tafsir, the various tafsirs and things, and look at it. So many will say Adam, because when we look at the language of the Quran, it says that Ibrahim and his son built upon the foundation. Did they build upon the foundation, or did they build the foundation? They say no. Ibrahim didn't build the foundation. Adam built the foundation. And Ibrahim built upon that foundation. Yes. So Adam is the origin. He's the origin. We say he's the origin of humanity. And Ibrahim built upon that origin. That's Salasalan. That Adam is the Salasalan. Adam is the clay. Yes. And Ibrahim built upon that foundation. And he's building upon it and building upon it. And here comes the man, he says that the prophets, many, are going around this building and admiring this building. Look at the allegory now. He says, but there's a brick that's missing that will complete the structure. Yes. From the foundation, Adam, as Ibrahim begins to build and build, there's a brick missing when it gets to Muhammad the prophet. Or a log that's missing. We can say a log, because we're logging, we have the log. This is a log. The Risala is a log. You know how you log something? You write it down, you're logging. But there's a log missing. And Muhammad the prophet says, I am that log. So we face. Now, we face the Wajju. We're standing and we're facing the Kaaba. But we don't worship the Kaaba. The angels are told to face Adam. I think you see the connection. Are we facing Adam as we turn to face the Kaaba? Yes. But are we turning to our origin? Are we facing Adam and making sajda to Adam? Not that we worship Adam, no. Not that we worship the Kaaba, no. Think about it. Let's have the discussion. He said that is to say, what jihu, face, turn and face, focus your stance to him, towards him. Orientate yourself towards him, towards Allah, towards him, towards it. Yes. And when it reaches the intellect, as an articulating agent, then we will realize, see what I'm saying this from, where I'm getting this from, that excellence itself, excellence in man, those who pride themselves upon having high knowledge, those who pride themselves upon the most beautiful and excellent works and actions. It's tied to two matters. One is ta'avimu lillahi. That means that's given the strength, the power, the glorification, the magnification, the greatness belongs to Allah. And the other matter is having sympathy, having mercy upon his creation. Yes. Ta'zim. No matter how high you get, Allah, we say in the prayer, Subhana Rabbi al-Azim. Rabbi al-Azim. Allah. Allah is the one who is the mighty. The mighty and the power belongs to Allah. And we are to have compassion and mercy upon his creation. Yes. And Muhammad the Prophet, he's the model that showed mercy to creation. There's a lot and more to be said about that. Zukira and Nawailu. So it is mentioned that distress, Wailu, Waila, and Nawaila, that distress, we could say, ruin. You know, my life has been ruined. Grieving, sadness belongs to those who make associations with Allah. Yes. In their achievements, in their human achievements, they refuse to glorify Allah as the greatest, the mightiest in his Tawheed. Yes. Even though they agree, scientifically agree, they refuse to give Allah, to recognize that this idea of oneness that we find in all existing material things has a common origin. That man himself has a common origin. That Allah, the greatness, the majesty, the power belongs to Allah, who created all of it. And we have been influenced by that mentality. Many of us try to bring this mushrik mentality into Islam. Bring the logic, the thinking. Because we don't have something else that interferes with that kind of thinking. They give us clarity against that kind of thinking. Yes, we bring that same racist thinking. That's where that racism is born out of. I think one of our scholars, our contemporary scholars, talked about how racism comes from idol worship, mushrik, shirk. Yes, and we have that. Our perception in religion, in Islam, our perception reveals that. This racist idea. And they reject and the rejection of sharik, the rejection of associating God with God. They refuse. So you'll find amongst them, and I don't have to point it out, you'll find amongst them they have no compassion for his creation. And they have no, including his fellow man. He shows no compassion for his creation or his fellow man, because of that stream of shirk that's in his blood, even though he claims to be worshiping one God. No. And he attaches goodness to himself. Oh, we're the good people. We're innocent in goodness, even though God said, do not run people out of their homes. But you're the good people, expelling them, pushing them out of their homes, with no compassion for the human creature. War is not the answer. Education is the answer. That's what we have to understand as a humanity. Education is the answer. And the Quran, if we translate it from Arabic, it's an Arabic word. Quran is an Arabic word. If we translate it to English, it will read the education. A letter that was sent to Muhammad the Prophet for all of humanity. But you claim goodness to yourself. And all good comes from Allah. And to add to that, they deny evolution. Inkara al-Ba'thi. I'm going to say that. Leave that as the cliffhanger. They deny evolution. The evolution of man. It's in the talk. I thank you for listening. Dear audience, Assalamu alaikum wa Ramadan Mubarak.